All right, we're alive. We are alive.
This is Jay-Z's video for the story of OJ. The first time you see it, the animation is pretty disturbing.
Light nigga, dark nigga, faux nigga, real nigga, rich nigga, po nigga, house nigga, field nigga.
The video is satirizing racist images that have permeated popular cartoons. The characters look like blackface minstrels, for a reason. Minstrel shows fundamentally shaped the history and language of animation.
She rubbed and rubbed her knuckles, brought 'em down to the nub, yeah.
From the white gloves, to the huge eyes and mouths, to the violent explosions, our cartoons are chock full of imagery rooted in racist minstrelsy.
I bet my money on a bobtail nag, somebody bet on the day.
Live minstrel shows began in early 19th century America.
Don't you forget those old N-men there. Oh, those comical N-men.
White people in blackface makeup pretended to be caricatures of black slaves and freedmen.
How would you like to go to work for me?
Yes, ma'am. How much you gonna pay me, I hope?
By the 1840s, the minstrel show had become America's most popular art form and lasted into the early 20th century, through the early years of animation.
Amen, brother.
Minstrel shows provided animators with stock characters and themes that would have been very familiar to their audiences. Because of this, many early cartoon characters weren't just like minstrels. They were minstrels, with black bodies and faces with big white lips and eyes. And they aped the classic minstrel show, with big opening musical numbers and slapstick send-ups of well-known plays and stories. By the 1930s, live minstrel shows were on their way out, and their expression in cartoons became more self-conscious. Mickey Mouse had to literally black up to perform a minstrel send-up of Uncle Tom's Cabin. Long after the classic minstrel show faded from view, its vestiges remained in animation, even today. Take, for example, the white gloves worn by so many cartoon characters. That was an essential part of the minstrel costume, likely taken from the formal wear of slaves. And now, Nintendo portrays the white glove as a god of the cartoon universe, the ironically named Master Hand. And that recurring cartoon explosion where the faces are charred was a direct reference to blackface makeup. Also, that's a bar of Swanee River playing in the background, a traditional minstrel song. Underlying this explosion gag is another, more profound dynamic with roots in minstrelsy: repetitive, brutal violence with no consequences. The historical American setting for such violence had been plantations, where masters saw no consequences to mercilessly beating and torturing slaves. This violence became a stylized part of minstrel show slapstick, which made its way into vaudeville and animation, and carried forward through 20th century cartoons.
I'm coming, man.
One?
There are problems across our criminal justice system. There are biases, some conscious and unconscious, that have to be rooted out.
Systemic criminal justice racism.
The 13th Amendment has been understood as the legislation that fundamentally ended 250 years of slavery. But in fact, the slavery loophole, which is the clause for punishment as a crime, turned to new criminal statutes in order to re-enslave that population of African Americans.
The Jim Crow era was born. Legalized segregation and a new form of slavery, convict leasing. An era that lasted multiple generations and was born out of the Supreme Court in Plessy versus Ferguson.
And the U.S. Supreme Court decided that as long as you have equal facilities, and they were anything.
Okay.
If you grow up, and growing up you see literally thousands of examples in cartoons, in movies, in books, and in real life, of blacks being the victims of pain, the victims of aggression, and also the perpetuators. What seeds does that plant? What we try to do in the entire museum is to re-emphasize that the pieces in here are caricatures. They are not real people. It's a distortion. It's a lie.
I wish I was in the land of cotton, old times there, I'm not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away, Dixieland, in Dixieland where I was born in earth.
Well, the documentary was inspired by a book by Alexandra Nadapov, who's a professor at Harvard, in which she dug into the facts about, in the United States of America, there are between 12 and 13 million people who are in the carceration system as a result of misdemeanors, walking, spitting, jaywalking, for the most part, the most minor of infractions that, frankly, middle-class white people do not get arrested for, do not get cited for. Over and over again, the statistics are extraordinary. How these misdemeanors, going way back to the time right after the Civil War, Reconstruction, up through and including today, misdemeanor laws, formerly known as the Black Codes, are used for oppression, they're used for suppression, they're used for profiting, they're used for bringing people into the system, and then the system works its horrors on many people.
Hello, everyone. Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hey.
Hi.
What's up, Pam?
Happy Saturday.
Happy
Saturday.
We are looking at those scantily today. See, our crew is drilled down to two. Desi's on the Cape with his rich self. I don't know. Desi's living the life. Desi's living the white life. That's what he said.
Not if he's in Inkwell.
I know, right?
Martha's Vineyard.
He's on the Cape vacationing with his family.
Nice.
Tanya is in
She's
jolly old England with the Queen.
Talk about the white man's land.
Yeah, so Tanya is in England with the Queen.
I gave Tanya a message to give to the Queen, but I won't.
Yeah.
I won't bring it.
I gave Tanya the same message. So if she forgets her message, I hope she remembers my message. But we're gonna so thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks to everyone. Please, if you watching us on YouTube, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate it. And tell all your friends. You can also check us out on Facebook, but we really encourage you to check us out on YouTube. So today's show, before we get to today's show, I want to add, if there's any white people watching this show today, I want to know, and I want to know this for real. When you hear music, what do you hear? I mean, like I'm watching the video today, and I swear to God, the beat was going like doo-dum, 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 and this white dude was doing. I was just thinking, I know it's a thing that white people talk about, black people, but could you imagine if black people had no rhythm? Imagine that. Imagine what we would go through if we had no rhythm.
We'd be doing mosh pits and slams and all that stuff.
You know they would use it against us, right? You know, on the job application, you know what I mean? They would have it. I mean, the police stop you to make you get out and I'll play some music. Okay, we want to see you dance. You know. If you if it was the roles were switched. If they had rhythm and we didn't. That's what I'm saying.
Right. Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah, they just don't have rhythm. That's what it is.
Right. I'm saying if the roles were switched and we didn't,
right,
they would use it against us.
You know what? I honestly, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I've always been of the belief that we hear the bass and the beat, and they hear the treble.
Oh, is that what it is?
You might be on something, because I was listening to like a lot of rock songs don't have bass in it, and now white people tend to lean more towards rock music than anything else.
Yeah,
right? So
and if you notice with their music, they jump a lot. They'll jump they'll bang into each other, you know, that kind of stuff. But it's not about following the flow of the beat. It's really something completely different.
Yeah, the most R&B music has beat in it. Has a beat.
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah.
bass.
The bass. Yeah.
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 I was just always curious as to, seriously, I wasn't even like trying to be funny or anything. Like, what are they hearing? Because I don't get how you can hear boom, 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 and then do this.
Yeah, but remember, if you listen, and I don't know if this is historically correct, but if you look at movies that they have from like the medieval times and stuff like that, they dealt with a lot of flutes.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe a little strumming a little bit, but they really didn't do a lot with any kind of, well, they had some kinds of drums, but that wasn't the main rhythm of the music.
Drums originated from Africa. Am I correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe it was.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just curious. So if there's any Caucasians watching and they can, I know Pam gave me the best explanation, but she's Black. So I don't know.
You know what? If there were any music historians, that would be interesting to find out.
You know, if that was us with no rhythm, we'd be studied, you know, we'd be in a laboratory somewhere and, you know what I mean, poking and prodding and, you know what I mean? But anyway.
Have no rhythm.
Yeah.
I figure out why they have no rhythm.
Yeah. So, today, actually on our Tuesday show, we have the pre-show. We were talking about how Black people, how far have we come? You know, it just seems like we're in a different era, a different year, but the same thing keeps happening. You know what I mean? As they say, the saying goes, same shit, different day.
Mm-hmm.
Are things changing? Are things changing really slowly? How far have Black people come? How far have white people come? Is the racism still as bad as it was before? I mean, I wasn't here back in the 60s, and you know, but I would like to hear from some older people if they think that what's going on today is just as bad as it was, or I know people would say, no, it's not. Things have gotten better. But like Malcolm X said, if you stick a knife in my back, you know, I forgot the quote. I don't know if
he said, if you stick knife in 5 inches and pull it out 2,
right?
That don't make it progress.
Right.
Yeah.
It's still in your back.
It's still in your back. Yeah.
So, have Black people learned? Have white people learned anything? Have majority of white people who were racist? I'm curious to find out if there are white people who were racist or who held racist thoughts about Black people, and then they, you know, evolved, as I guess it would be a good word. Have they figured out, you know what, I was stupid for thinking this way about Black people, I'm going to change? Or are they still holding on to it?
Hey, Carl, I can answer that question, and we can end the show and I'll go home real quickly.
Okay.
I don't know. Well, I'll give you an example, though, real quickly.
Yeah.
Ahmaud Arbery case just started. They were having trouble.
The case of the killing of Ahmaud Arbery.
I'm sorry.
Because he's not on trial.
Thank you, Pam. I appreciate it. Seriously. Yeah, we kind of.
No, because they've been talking about that. Yeah.
But yeah, they were having trouble finding a jury of 12 people in a state of Georgia, or the town, the city where there's millions of people that live there, or thousands.
Mm-hmm.
They were having trouble finding 12 people that wanted to come forward and sit
that would be impartial.
Yeah, because it was a racial killing, and they knew it, and they feel that if they sat on the jury and convicted these people, they would get death threats or be killed, or something bad would happen to them. So
yeah,
that answered your question right there, Carl. Here's 2021, and you can't find 12. Now, they did finally get the jury together, and they have 11 whites and 1 black.
And they think that's fair.
Well, wait a minute. And I don't have the exact numbers in front of me right now. I did. I lost my notes. But the town is mostly black. So they have 11 juries and 1 black juror. Now, and they dismissed a lot of black people that came to be on the jury because they said that they felt that these people may be biased.
And that in itself is racist.
Yes, because now they're saying that white people can't be biased.
What they're saying is black people are going to be biased, but yet when it's a black person who is on trial, they don't have a problem with putting majority white people on that jury.
That is true. But they learned their lesson from the O.J. Simpson trial, so they're never going to let us off the hook on that one.
But were we the majority in that trial, though? I mean, like, there were white people on that jury as well. Yeah, you know.
I'm just being.
Yeah, I know. But here's
as they say. So, but there's no video. See, we have a video. There's no actual video of O.J. Simpson
slicing her neck,
slicing these people up.
Right.
We have videos of Derek Chauvin with his knee on George Floyd's neck. We have a video of these guys
chasing this guy down
and shooting him in the street with a shotgun. We have these videos to see these horrific racist killings now in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse. He drove.
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah,
another guy.
State line with a AK-47 or whatever he had to protect. You know what I mean? Like, what are you going to protect? Like, you know what I mean? You left your house, you know.
And see, the judge in that case also, Colin Pamela, are being biased. The judge is so biased right now in that case, if anybody's been following it. So I don't think, I hate to say it, I don't know how far we've come. I mean, I just think that, I think we made some inroad. I think we went far. And then I think the election of Barack Obama set us back again. I think that put us 35, maybe 40 years back again. I mean, I watched a documentary on Netflix last year, I believe, or maybe earlier this year. It was a documentary on Bobby Kennedy on Netflix, and great, by the way. If anybody had Netflix, check it out.
I haven't seen it.
It's really good. Bobby Kennedy was doing some good stuff, you know, and of course he was assassinated. But shocking. Black people.
Amazing, right?
Yeah, shocking. Yeah. Yeah. So what was I saying? Oh, I lost my train of thought on this, but Bobby Kennedy, what was I talking about? I lost my train of thought.
You were talking about how the election of a Barack Obama.
Oh, yes. I was watching the Bobby Kennedy documentary, and this was 1967, 1968. And it was almost like the same footage and the same stuff people were going through in 1968, 1967, 68 was almost the same thing that happened in 2020. The riots, the protests. I mean, it was almost like the Bobby Kennedy story could have been today. So what I meant by Barack Obama setting us back 30, 40 years was when I watched that special from 1968, you know, the footage from 1968, it was basically the same footage of 2020. You know, the Taylor case and being killed. I mean, it's the same stuff all over again, you know.
What I would like somebody to do is to do a documentary where they could go back to the pictures that they have of a lot of those young teenagers and young adults back in the 60s and 70s who were, you know, like when they were trying to, when the kids were trying to go to school in Alabama, and you know, these young people were out there screaming racist stuff and all of that stuff. If they could go back to those people and speak to them today to hear how hopefully they have evolved. I know Oprah had one woman on years ago when her show was, you know, in its prime. And of course she had a change of heart and stuff like that. But I wish they would do something like that to kind of follow how they evolved, how if they truly have, how, you know, how they made that journey from, because I'm sure a lot of those young, you know, when you're 15, 16 years old, your political thing is basically whatever your parents, whatever you heard in your home and your community. But I would love to hear how they have been able to evolve and become better people.
But did they really evolve though?
But that's why I said if they did.
Okay.
Or if they didn't, even if they didn't, right. I would love to hear from them what their journey has been. Because
you have to think about it, Pamela and guys, you got to think about this. It wasn't that long ago.
No.
I was telling you guys off mic before we started the show. Today I watched a documentary on PBS. Dr. Henry Louis Gates did a special, and he's interviewing people, sort of what you said, Pam. He's interviewing some of the Black people that tried to get in, that went to, integrate into school for the first time, and he was interviewing them, and now they're and they're 60s.
They're in their 60s, 70s, right?
Yeah.
60s,
so
yeah.
that means that, like you said, Pam, a lot of the white people that were against that, they're still alive right now.
That's right.
So how do they involve? That'd be very interesting.
Yeah.
He had one white lady on that did involve that did, and he was interviewing her, and she had turned the cheek, and so that's interesting.
Might have been the same woman that Oprah had. It might only be one who's willing to talk about it.
But see, what I was getting at was,
yeah,
in the we had the in the 60s we had the Dixiecrats, who was a lot of times when you argue with people today about racism, especially I've done a lot of that on Facebook over the years. A lot of people, the right wingers, the first thing they come at is go, well, the Democrats are very racist. Look at the 60s. So, but it's no talking point.
It's a changing of labels. That's all.
Well, they did. The Dixiecrats, because of Strom Thurmond, and because they were angry that JFK and his brother was working with Dr. King on the civil rights and all that sort of stuff. The Dixiecrats left the Democratic Party and joined
the Republic. You froze, Kevin.
That's why, and Bush used the Southern strategy. Reagan and Nixon used the Southern, and Bush Sr. used the Southern strategy, the racist Southern strategy, I should say, technique to win over the Southern votes, so they can win the White House.
To shore up, yeah.
Because they knew that all those racist Democrats were now Republicans.
Right.
That brings me to where we are today. So now those guys in the 70s that were part of that party and those voters, their kids are now what we're getting today.
That's right. Yep.
And so now that's why you have so much racism today, because they didn't raise their kids to not be full of hatred, And that's why you got these guys in Congress now who are purebred racists, that are now working in the White House. I mean, not the White House, working in the Capitol, in Congress, and they're
who are very comfortable with in their bias.
Well, now they are, because 45 gave them a red light to say, hey, it's okay to be racist on national television. I'm doing it. And nothing's happening to me. So now they're doing it, because before Trump, they didn't have,
they didn't know their base, that 33%. Yeah. Now they're so hungry for that they're willing to open themselves up to anything else, because they want it so badly.
Well, they have support now, because they had, he had 70 million people.
They would have had support before, but they would not have been able to be so open with it.
Exactly. Yeah, because as I was listening to Joe Madison the other morning, and he was talking about the Virginia race. Joe Madison, Urban View, by the way, for people that don't know.
On Sirius XM.
On Sirius XM, yeah. So Joe Madison pointed out, he says, the guy, what's his name, that just won the Republican.
The guy, the governor of Virginia.
Yeah. Joe Madison pointed out, the racists voted for him. They didn't vote for the other guy.
Right.
They voted for him, so he took their support.
Absolutely. He pandered. I mean, they pandered to it at this point.
He didn't denounce them. He took their support.
Right.
So he,
because they realized that it's not politically liable. There's no liability politically for them pandering to those, the needs and the wants of those people. Although technically, especially the lower income people, they are not the Republican Party is clearly not trying to help them in any real way. It's really about ideology more so than any kind of real impact on their well-being. They're not getting more money than
hear about that. For white people want to want to feel good about themselves. So of course,
right.
For them to feel good about themselves, they had to, not like us, right?
Right.
Okay.
Well, that's the whole strategy that they've always done, right? They put us down, and therefore they can build themselves up.
Do you guys think we should just accept racism?
Do what?
Just accept it. I mean, it doesn't seem like these racist white people are going anywhere. Do you guys think we should just figure out ways around it? I mean, all the protests we do, how long we've been protesting, how long we've been saying,
I think we need to walk and chew gum.
You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like anything is going to happen. I mean, Bill O'Reilly, and I quote, said on Fox News one time, I was watching Fox News, but and he said, white people will never change. He literally said that. He said, because they were protesting about some shooting, and he said, we're not going to change. White people are not going to change.
Well, they're not going to change because it's
he's got the inside
because it's not uncomfortable for them to stay the way they are.
So maybe
they're comfortable.
So maybe we need to change our strategy.
But again, why can't we walk and chew gum at the same time?
Okay, we want to expound on that,
So why can't we do all the protesting, do all the yelling and screaming and shouting, and also work on behind the scenes with maybe different strategies if that's what it's needed. But I don't think that we need to stop yelling about it, because if we stop yelling about it, they definitely aren't going to change.
But
right?
I don't mean stop yelling or stop protesting, but I mean put our energy in, and I'm sure there are probably people out there doing it. I'm just not aware of it. You know what I mean? Because Kevin pointed out one time that there are Black people doing stuff, but we just don't see it.
Absolutely.
It's not happening fast enough for us to see. And I guess that's part of my frustration. It took us 400 plus years to get to this point. And I guess I want to see it done. I want to see progress in like a week.
Sure.
I think we need adults. I don't know. As we were talking earlier, Carl, in a pre-show thing, I don't know how it's getting worse because it's getting younger and younger. We're talking about the kids at the school that brought the Confederate flags to school a few weeks ago. It happened last week. They brought Confederate flags to school. So the Black kids said, okay, we're going to form a protest against this. And the Black kids ended up being suspended from school for their protest. So now you have adults that didn't even say, hey, white kids, you can't bring these Confederate flags to school. It's insulting to our Black students. And hey, Black students, you're assholes for putting together a protest. So we're going to suspend you. So now the white kids are feeling more emboldened, but as a white kid, why are you so angry?
What state was this in?
I would have to Google that. And
was it a southern state? But you see, but this is the thing.
I apologize for not having that information.
No, that's okay. But listen, the thing about that is I am not surprised because, as I said, kids initially take on what they hear at home and they're in their little conclaves, right? So I'm not surprised about that. I think that although they are those kids who are going to take that stance, there are a lot of non-Black, non-minority children and young adults who are taking up the cause, who do see the unfairness and the injustice of what happens to us, and don't feel as though it's right. I think the problem is that until it becomes very uncomfortable for any one particular group to act in a degrading way towards another, they have to feel the pinch. And unfortunately, they're not going to feel the pinch because the system just doesn't seem to feel it's warranted.
Hey guys, real quickly, I Googled it. I just want you guys to know that I'm glad you guys are sitting down. You're going to be shocked by this. It was Georgia.
Georgia.
It was Georgia.
And Georgia.
A little small town. I bet you it was in Decatur, Georgia.
You know what I find interesting?
Or Atlanta.
Sometimes I wonder if the white people say they didn't know racism was this bad. They didn't know things was like this. They didn't know. These are the same people who come out for animal rights.
Yeah.
Right? These are white people who live in America, but know there's only 2 tigers left in Africa. Right? And so they're raising millions of dollars. We got to save these tigers. We got to save the elephants. We got to save the whales. You see them out in front of the those big friggin' boat tankers with the little piggies, trying to prevent them,
these whalers. Yeah.
Why can't they put that same amount of energy into, into racism?
Because they love animals more than they love Black people.
Okay, thank you. That ends my conversation.
No, that is absolutely 100% facts, man.
Next.
That is facts. That is
facts. And here's the thing, though. They have been taught to have sympathy for defenseless animals. Yeah. They have not been taught to have sympathy or empathy for us.
But we're talking about, Kevin and I talked about this, but I really think like racist white people don't have, to me, Black people are too kind. You know what I mean? Because I've said it before on the show, I think, and I said it to Kevin today. No matter how racist a person was, or how racist a person was to me, or I could not watch them be lynched or harmed in any way.
That particular person?
Yeah, I could not. I could not watch him.
I don't know. I might be able to turn away from it though. I might not want to watch.
Could you watch a white lynching? Could you watch a white person hung from a tree?
No. If that person had deeply offended me personally, I would not. I can't say that I could. I can't say that I could watch any person be harmed, but I could possibly turn away from it.
No, but other than bodily harm, like, could you watch a person
like what he's saying? What I think what he's saying. The conversation, the Dr. Henry Gates documentary I watched today, showing a segment where Black people were being lynched, and they would have a lynching picnic.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is true, but picnic came from that.
Yeah. No,
it's called Pick a Nigga.
Yeah, picnic came from. They advertise it in newspapers.
Yes.
And so they're saying in the newspaper, and I actually called a clip here because I couldn't believe it. And
remember they used to use Black babies for bait for alligators.
Yeah, that's hard. That's hard to comprehend. Yeah,
exactly.
So if this is the kind of person we're dealing with, like think about that. If this is the kind of mentality we're dealing with, you know what I mean?
So here you go right here, Carl. It says John Hartfield will be lynched by Ellsville mob at 5:00 this afternoon. Now that's in a newspaper in New Orleans. In the year, let me see if I can get the year. It was Thursday, June 26, 1930, New Orleans, Louisiana. Yeah. And here it is. So he would be lynched. And then they showed the next clip where they had pictures of the park was packed.
Yeah.
Like 400, 500 people.
It was entertainment.
They were with their kids.
Yeah, there's a book called Without Sanctuary. It's all about lynching.
They were their kids. So that's what Carl is saying to Pam, that no matter how bad a white person is to us, we would never take our kids to Central Park to watch a white guy be lynched. That's what I'm saying.
But wait a minute. But to take it a step further and take the race issue out of it, remember in England, that when the beheadings and stuff used to go on, that was again another family outing. People would go into the courtyards to see this mutilation of a human being's body and cheer for it. So there's a history of non-Black people doing these horrific things and having and feeling as though it is a form of entertainment. So they've just perpetuated the stuff that they had done in the old country.
Okay.
Now, personally, definitely wouldn't take my child to it. I don't think that I would look and watch a person, because I have seen a person being punched and beaten up, And just although the person had nothing to do with me, I felt
you had
something inside of me. No, something inside of me just literally shook.
Right.
So I can't imagine purposely, intentionally watching another human being die. And I would not want to purposely see it.
What do you think the side effects? You guys, side effects are of us watching George Floyd die over and over and over again on TV. I mean, we watched George Floyd.
I couldn't watch it.
Watched George Floyd die probably 150 times.
Yeah. You guys remember the lady in the Central Park when the guy was bird watching and she was calling police? Do you know a lot of white people were more upset because she had a dog and the dog
and she was stringing up the dog. Yes.
So
yes.
People were more upset with the fact of how she was treating the dog. They weren't even focusing on. So if that's the kind of people we're dealing with, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like, if that's the kind of people we're dealing with, what can we possibly? And we still see it today. Like you see police very.
Well, look, what's his name? Mike Vick. Was that his name? Mike Vick, the football player. Yeah. Look at how long he had to go away for dog fighting, but you know, you have somebody else who there've been other NFL players who have killed their spouses and gotten off or being right, and it's like you know, there is a different sense of responsibility and sensitivity when it comes to us. Look, you've got, what's her name? Sarah McLachlan, I think is her name, that has that thing on where you see all the poor dogs and on the eyes of the angels. You know, and I'm like, okay, so where's that for the children, so many children, because I used to work in foster care and adoption. Why is it that we don't have something like that more readily available on the television, constantly bombarding us about the plight of some of these children?
If we're going to be 100% honest, it seems to me, and this is from my personal experience and from what I've seen since I've been living in this country, white people, most white people, I'm not going to say all, but a majority of white people have more empathy for animals than they do for actual people.
Yeah, that's a given.
They're trying to be funny.
That's a given.
Yeah, white people seem to have more empathy and more love. I mean, in my neighborhood where I live, there's a app where you talk about the neighborhood and what's going on and who does this, and we helping each other out. The animal group has literally like 3,000 people. There's a anti-racism group. It's like 42 people.
Carl, do you know that the whole thing of having orphanages and foster care, that started, I think, in the turn of the 1900s. And do you know before that what government agency children who were on the streets was taken care of? The animal, I forget the actual name, but basically the animal care thing. Really? That's who took care of the children, the destitute children who were on the streets, until they finally formed an actual agency. So, they have. It seems like they've always had a certain sensitivity to animals before having any kind of compassion for other downtrodden human beings.
Yeah. So getting back to, so we rarely come. We have progressed some.
We have.
Gina said, "Carl, look at this show. There has been power and progress." And then she said, "Oh my God, Kevin Lee, no way the black kids got suspended." I haven't heard about this. She didn't hear about that. That's the one thing I've learned about black and white. Because when I talk to my white friends about stuff that's happening, the news that they don't get the same news.
No.
Yeah, because
they're not looking in the same places, and their ear isn't in tune the way ours is either.
Yeah,
I would think
because it doesn't personally
affect them.
To anybody that's white that's watching, it doesn't affect them to the point, like. It just doesn't affect them, right? So, it affects us.
Mm-hmm.
It affects
in one way or another.
It affects us one way or another because we know what's happening and it affects us. So, when we hear that it's only one black juror on a case where a black man was gunned down in broad daylight and basically a modern day lynching, we know that the fix is in, the okie doke's about to happen, and it affects all black people except for Candace Owens, but everybody else is affected, because we know it's some BS happening. So,
I had a white friend watch our show for the first time last week or the week before, but she was shocked when I showed the videos of police brutality.
Mm-hmm.
She said she has never seen anything like that. She had no idea what's going on. She wants to know why isn't that on? That should be on HBO. You guys should put some kind of show together. You guys should take that to HBO. We need to know about this. Right? So
tell her to Google what I think. Forget about HBO and Showtime and those places, because those are premiums and stuff. I think if it were on mainstream news programs every 6 and 11 o'clock, and it was the leading story constantly, maybe there would be a little bit more sensitivity to it. But what Kevin said is so true. If it does not affect you or people that you care about, do you really put that much? I'm sure there's a lot of things that happen in the Asian community and the Chinese community that we're clues, and we're like, oh, really? I mean, if I were to hear about it, I would be shocked, because I don't tune into those, so I don't altogether blame them. But
no, go ahead, Pam. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying I don't altogether. First of all, any statements that I make about white people, non-black people are general. It's a generalization, and I'm sure there are a great amount of people who are the opposite of it. But I don't really think that, because white people in general did not have to learn about us, did not have to understand our situation, did not have to look at the disparity and the big chasm between their lives and ours. They don't have anything in the game. And so when it comes to, even with politics, they're not worrying about that. They're not worrying about the things that are affecting us. They're not worrying about immigration, because they don't have any more family back over there.
Yeah, the one thing I'm learning, and when I talk to my white friends, well, they know I don't sugarcoat anything. I just come direct, because I ask, I always thought that racist white people, when they go home or they're at their friend's house or they're at a party or wherever they are, they would brag about the racist things they're doing. I really thought that. So when white people tell me, oh, I didn't know, I'm like, how could you not know? But so apparently the racist white people are not sharing,
but I think
with other people, just like men who abuse women, like, you know what I mean? Like there's a friend, Lauren Burge, and I always thank her for this. Just like 3 years ago, she was telling me about how men abuse women, like take liberty with their bodies, grab the boobs, grab the butt, kiss them without them ever, being provoked, or what I mean? Like, bullshit. Like, what guy will go and kiss a girl without her consent? You know what I mean? And I started looking into it. I asked some people in my family, people in my friends, and every single woman I'm not gonna say which family member, but told me, give me a story of when some guy grabbed the boob or grabbed the ass. One friend of mine told me she was on the elevator with a coworker. Like, they're just coworkers, and the elevator started going, and he just kissed her. He just fucking kissed her. I'm like, and then I started hearing. So I kind of hear when white people say, "Well, I didn't know what was going on." I'm like, how could you not know? In a man, people might think other men tell me this stuff, but they don't.
No.
You know what I mean?
But you know what? I have to say too that I have also realized over the years is that they're too. We put racism in the people in this big racist category, but there are racists who are blatantly, willfully racist, and there are people who are, and then there are other people who don't even honestly, and I honestly believe they do not understand that what they're doing is racist or has racist tendencies. They don't get it because they have never taken the time or been conscious enough to understand how their actions affect us. So they could very easily say to you, how did that happen? Well, I didn't know that was happening around here. Oh my God, really? I'm appalled. And honestly believe it, because they just, I think sometimes you have to look at it as, do they have the intent of being racist? Or if they're just racist by omission? You know, it's kind of like, oh, that affects you? Oh, well, really kind of, we're the invisible people.
I think what we need to start doing though is, well, white people need to start stepping up and say something. If you're not racist and you're white and somebody's around you saying racist stuff, and you need to say something. And I'm saying that because I think men need to do the same thing as far as watching out for women and make sure women are not abused. Yeah. Anyway. And I started, and I'll tell you what I did a few months ago, back in the summer. I was in the UPS store, and I'm standing in line. You had to 6 feet apart, that kind of thing. And this girl came in, and she had these really short jeans, tight, really booty shorts, or Daisy Dukes, how we call them.
How short were they, Carl?
Hey, Carl.
They were, they just kind of.
Yeah.
You get a picture with your cell phone, Carl? You get a picture with your cell phone?
No.
I don't want to hear about it.
This was this guy, right? There was this guy that was, he was so focused on her. Right? I mean, like he was, I felt like if she left, he's going to follow her the way he was staring. So wow. I'm watching him, watching her, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't know. All I said was, hey, you like that? And then he kind of looked.
He woke up.
Hey, you like that? You know what I mean? But I'm trying to let him know, hey, somebody's seen me. So if he had any thoughts of ever, harming her and abusing her in any way or attacking her in any way, he knew that I was. It's kind of like go shopping and white people go, can I help you? That doesn't mean I want to help you. That means we watching you, nigga. That's what that means.
Can I, what we were talking about the ways where white people can be racist and not even realize it. I forget, Carl, I know you said you haven't seen it. Kevin, did you see the Colin Kaepernick?
I saw it.
No, you didn't see it. You saw the one, so now both white, he was adopted by this white family who absolutely loved him and doted on him. But you saw the one where his prom date, who was a chocolate sister.
Yes. And they
they did not, number one, put up her picture.
No.
And he was in love with her.
Yeah. But
they put up the picture of that other chick, that white girl, who he didn't even know. The other thing was, I forget, oh gosh, it went out of my mind just now. There was a situation where somebody made a racist a couple of times where people made racist comments in their vicinity. And the mother and father were like,
like when they were in the hotel lobby, not to go off on this, but when they were in the hotel lobby, and the white woman kept staring at him, and he grabbed a cookie. The white guy, his white friend, went and grabbed as many
for a second one, right?
He went for ice cream. The white friend went for ice cream, and he went back for a second, and did not give him ice cream because she told him he already had,
right. So, but my point with the mother and father, it was one scene where they were in their living room, and it was like, I think at that moment he recognized that they will never understand what he is seeing, because they, like I said, they loved him, they cared about him. I don't believe that they had any thoughts of anything horrible about their son. But yet when this racist situation happened, they just didn't see it. They just didn't see it as something. They were just like,
so as we as black people, we need to start understanding that a lot of white people just don't know.
They just don't know. Some of them just do not know, and they just don't get it. The wheels don't turn the same way. They don't get they don't get that. They're like, oh, that's just somebody being silly. As opposed to being outraged at it. And that's what he had if this script that they had was true to form, that's what he had to deal with, being a Black man living in a white world with white parents who just did not get it.
Which is why we need critical race theory, right? Somebody on
No, we need real history. We need no critical race. I hate that term because I think it just makes people go, ugh. How about calling a thing a thing? Tell the history of this country the way it really is, and put all of the players in their proper slots.
But it's critical, and it's about race, and this is.
But you know what?
Yeah, but when you start talking about race, you're never going to get some of those people involved. If you call it true history or something else, just real plain history.
Yeah.
And inclusive history. How about that? Inclusive history.
So we got to trick them.
No, you make it more palatable.
Okay.
I hate to bring up male, female, but it's kind of like, sometimes when we deal with our spouses, sometimes we have to put things in a certain way that's more palatable to them in order to get what you really want. You got to grease the wheel a little bit.
Well, yeah, tell us more.
That's for another topic, another day.
Different show. Okay.
Different show. That's for the after show.
Why do we have to do this though? This is 2021. Why do we have to jump through these freaking fire hoops like with Kevin Lee?
Because unfortunately, the everything is stacked against us, and the powers that be are not going to allow fairness, because it does not benefit them and it doesn't make them feel comfortable.
Going back to this Dr. Henry Gates thing that I just found to be an amazing documentary. I can't get it out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
If this guy put together all this research, found all these pictures,
and he's not the only one,
and some video footage, and put together this amazing,
I hear you, Kev,
documentary, then why the hell?
Yeah, I hear you, man.
Can't everybody else do that?
There are lots of people who have put together a wealth of information. It's just about, again, the folks who write the check, the ones who print the textbooks, choose not to put certain things in there because it just doesn't feel right.
Well, my point to Pam today, when I was talking to Patricia about this, I said, I said this special that I'm watching should be on a major network like NBC or ABC or CBS, prime time, so everybody in America can watch this shit and see this devastation that I'm watching right now. But it can never be on those major networks because white people will protest against it being. First of all, for it to be on one of those networks, it has to have sponsorship. I
was going to say, because look, they put Roots on back in the 70s.
But Roots was also, it was.
And that was controversial back then.
Yes. But
for that time,
watch Roots today.
And they never did it again.
Still entertaining.
No,
but it's not as devastating to watch as it was maybe in the 70s, right? It's still entertaining. It's still some bad parts that you just go, God damn, man. But I
think back then, for the sensibilities back then, it really was. It did shake quite a few people.
They didn't come to school the next day because they think they ass whipped by Tyrone.
Right. Right. but for that time, I think it was a very impactful. But for today and our sensibilities for today, it's a bit milder. But the point is, like you said, about sponsorship, right? And who decides what's worthy of putting that money behind things? It's a whole bunch of other white folks, like I said, that sometimes don't feel comfortable bringing, facts to the forefront.
I mean, as a whole,
at least with Roots, they could say it was fictitious, right? Or it had some fictional thing.
Right? Where it got, slavery was absolutely god awful. But Jim Crow is when we knew better. You know what I'm saying? Like slavery was like, okay, well, it's legal. Everybody's doing it. Our forefathers owned slaves, whatever. But then when slavery ended, Jim Crow came into effect,
and that was
murders,
intentional.
the murders and the
Imprisonment.
backstabbing, everything continued. The hangings, the lynchings, the murders, the everything.
Incarceration, right?
Incarceration. So now you know better, and you're still being an evil monster, and that's the part they want to hide.
Yeah.
They can always say slavery was legal, our forefathers did it, and that was just the way things were. But when slavery ended, racism actually got worse.
Well, for a minute it didn't. For a minute, that's when the Reconstruction happened, and that was where we started to flourish. And it's once we started gaining political power, and we started doing things on our own, then they're like, "Wait a minute, I don't think we like this one too much. Let's put a stop to this."
Right, right.
And here comes Jim Crow.
You know better. Now you know that you're doing something just to be evil in your conscience. You know that you're taking down this group of people for no other reason, and then you hate them because of their skin color. You know, it wasn't always people work for me because we're gonna make millions of dollars off these slaves with the cotton, and millions of dollars off these slaves with the steel business and the nails and stuff.
And we've served our purpose.
Right, exactly. Right? But
yeah.
now we're free, and now you're still making us be slaves through.
They wanted us to go away.
Incarceration, getting free labor. Yeah, you pass laws to lock up black men on the streets of New Orleans for something as simple as jaywalking, and then gave them 10 years in jail for jaywalking, just so they can pick cotton for free. Now you know
that's right
that you're an asshole. You know,
yeah.
Maybe.
I mean,
yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, there are things
crazy,
like
man.
in 2021, like police still, shoot blacks for no, but for things they don't shoot whites for. We still get higher interest rates. This is in 2021. You still get a higher interest rate if you're black. So all the white people watching, if you don't know this, you know it now. In 2021, we still pay high interest rates on how if you're going to buy a house, a car, or whatever, just because you're black. We still can't walk in certain neighborhoods. Like we see it at Arbery. That's in 2021. We still get more jail time. First to get fired, right? Last to get hired. Still happening. And if you're getting your house appraised, as Kevin told us, you know what I mean? If your house, if there's an inkling that your house has anything black in it, you're gonna get a lower appraisal.
Kevin, you gotta tell us how that worked out.
Go ahead.
I'm sitting in my office right now.
Uh-huh.
And as you guys notice, in my office, I used to have on my wall all my posters of my show. I've collected over the years. I couldn't fit them all on there, but I have posters on my wall of me, Kevin Lee, comedian, appearing, so-and-so, here. So I have all these posters on my wall, decorating my office, my sanctuary with my posters. As you see, they're all gone.
It's so funny. I thought you were in a hotel. I was like, oh, he's in a different venue today.
No.
I didn't realize it was the same room.
If you think this is, I'm going to show you guys a video. This is the great D.L. Hughley, who is very famous and probably very wealthy. But what?
Oh, he's had quite a few run-ins.
I guess the real estate agent told you not to have pictures of your family.
Well, I lived in West Hills, and I sold that house. So I lived in a place called the Monte Vista Estates. I lived in one of the very first phases of that development, and So on the street, I picked up the biggest lot I had, and we had additions to it, and we built a pool, and we invested in this home because that's what you're supposed to do, and this was our chip in the game, and so we were ready to sell it because my wife wanted to move to Calabasas, so we were ready to sell it, and the housing market at that time was pretty solid. My real estate agent said, "Well, take your pictures down because they're gonna appraise your home," and I'm like, "I'm not getting ready to take my pictures down." The real estate appraiser comes and appraises my home. This home was 3 years old, 2.5, 3 years old. Appraised it at so low that the bank wondered, was this it had to be damaged or repossession or destroyed or whatever. And they asked him why he did it. And basically it was because I was black, other than no other reason than the fact that I lived there, They gave me, the fair market value for my home, and it was $150,000 or $125,000 more than he was going to give me. So he took real wealth from me just because he could, and I was black. And it perpetuates.
Right? I mean, and if it's happening to him, I'm sure it's happening to every black person. You know,
I wouldn't say it happens to every black person.
Well, I mean,
is it?
Yeah. So,
yeah. I think the problem with being an appraiser is that it's subjective. So that person can go in there, literally, you can have 4 appraisers come into a house and have 4 completely different valuations done. And that's a problem, because like he said, you're taking money out of people's pockets just because look, they could have been having a bad day. He may not like the color paint on the wall. There's so many things. And I'm not making excuses. No, what I'm saying is that it's not. Is it racism that drives that a lot of times? Yes. But you remember, there are thousands of appraisers across America, and not every last one of them is going to have that same type of.
No, I'm not saying that, but it happens enough where it's too much. Right?
If it happens once, it's too much, as far as I'm concerned.
All right.
But we have to, but when we make those blanket thing, it's not that, because there are some people who do get their fair market value, and it's fine. But it's all the others that don't.
But there's
and who don't know that they can protest.
It's enough to be a problem. I mean,
oh yeah, definitely it's a problem. And I think that what people also need to understand is they're right. They do have, although the banks cannot argue with the appraiser. They can't say to them, no, I don't, blah, 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 but they can ask them to maybe just look at their appraisal again and see if it is their.
Do you have no person in your family, Pam?
No. But I mean, I've worked with I work in the housing industry, so so I'm not. No. I'm not. Charles, I mean, I'm calling you Charles, my brother. Carl, I'm not saying that this doesn't happen and thing, but I think that part of our problem as minorities is also that we don't know when we can say, no, don't think so. Can you please have somebody else go out, or can you have another appraisal done? Because if we don't understand what our rights are and how we can try to counterbalance sometimes, we do lose in the end. That's all I'm saying, is that we have the right to fight against when we think things are not fair. And in appraisal, that's one of them. You can, say like how he did. If he could have easily said, oh, okay, and he would have lost $150,000.
Okay. All right. TW just commented, and they said, I don't want to say he or she, last time I got it wrong. When I sold one of my homes, I was told to take down my family pictures. No reason given, but I figured it out. I got market value because best house on the block. Yeah. When I'm ready to sell, my neighbors are white. I'm seriously thinking to ask my neighbors to stay here while I go out and the house is appraised.
Well, that's what we did.
Really?
Yeah. We did that. And we took down all the pictures. I left a picture up of Marilyn Monroe and Michael Jackson. That's it. And the Rat Pack.
Let them try to figure that one out, right?
Yeah.
But you shouldn't be there. You should have if you're planning on selling, you have a realtor, have the realtor come if the realtor is not black. But even so, because they don't know if the person's white or not.
Right. Why do we even have to go through this though?
We shouldn't have to. We shouldn't.
That's what I'm saying. We shouldn't even have to go through this. This is ridiculous.
Because basically what they want you to do is to erase your identity in order to get a fair shake.
So as we asked in the beginning, how far have we come? How far? I mean,
listen. When you're trying to take a trip to Mars and you've gone to the moon, you have gone far, you just have not gone far enough, and you've got a long way to go after.
Isn't this a case of taking a knife out 2 inches?
Yeah.
If you can't find 12 honest people to say, look, we just saw these 3 white guys shoot this innocent black man jogging with no weapons through the streets, and we're scared to sit on the jury because we think our white neighbors are going to bomb our house or kill us. 'cause we're getting death threats, then
Yeah.
we haven't gone that far. If I got to pull a picture of me off the wall of a poster of me performing, you know, somewhere.
No, absolutely.
It's almost like
then we haven't come that far.
it's almost like we're catering to racists, right? The reason
No,
why
what I think,
let me finish. The reason
Yeah.
I think we're catering to racists because the reason why, like Kevin say, why don't they show that PBS documentary on prime time? The reason is they know America is so racist, right? They wouldn't get a lot of sponsors. They would probably get a lot of calls, a lot of death threats because they know there's so many racist people out there. This kind of show would not go over. So that's why they're catering to the racists. TW on YouTube, he said he was in a white neighborhood, you know. So his real estate agent wanted him to cater, you know what I mean? To racists.
I think at this point, like I said, we have to walk and chew gum at the same time. I think while we're fighting it, while we think it's disgusting and we call it out, we still have to be able to live. And like Kevin, he still wants to be able to get a good appraisal so that he can make it do. So you're like, okay, I got to take these down. I'll take them down for a minute. But in the same time, I'm still screaming and shouting and yelling and putting the word out there that this is some BS that we have to deal with.
But do you think if white people came to buy Kevin's house and they saw black pictures up, they might say they might offer a lower, right? So the real estate agent knows that they might offer a lower,
right,
you know what I mean, price for the house.
You're playing the game.
You know?
This goes back to one of the shows we did many months ago called where we talked about black and white funeral homes.
Right.
And black and white cemeteries. Like we can't even be buried in the same freaking place in most cases. Like, you know, most funeral homes, I'm an African American. If I pass away, most likely my body's gonna be picked up from the hospital by a black funeral home. You know, in most cases.
I would want that, but you know why? Because I hate to say it, but they don't know how to deal with my hair. They don't know how to put on, and they don't put on your makeup properly. It's true because they don't normally deal with it.
See what women worried about?
Makeup.
My hair right now, girl.
Yes, because I've seen some black people in some white funeral homes, and I'm like, oh my God, they try to make them white. Like they don't, you know, it's the whole thing with somebody was talking about how they used to do their own makeup on set because the white stylist that they had, the white cosmetologist, did not have the right foundations and stuff for what we needed. And I get it. So, and yeah, I prefer going to a black cemetery. I mean, but the cemetery, I'm surprised you're talking about the cemetery though, because I didn't realize there was a black and a white. I mean, I know there are some that are predominantly one way or another, but I didn't think that there was.
Well, there are also black and white churches, so why would there not be black and white funeral homes?
Yeah,
no, I'm not talking about the funeral homes. I'm talking about the cemetery.
Funeral homes. That's what he's talking about. Funeral homes.
Man, I said cemeteries. I meant just
funeral homes.
Yeah. Funeral homes. And then of course it's black and white churches.
And they don't know how to because they don't know how we do.
They both pray to Jesus.
You know, sometimes we show out.
You go to a church and you walk in, you're only black person, and then you look like, what the, why y'all looking at me? You know.
Yeah. So. I mean, I went to one of my white friends, their son died, and I went to the funeral. And when I walked into church, I swear every person turned around and looked at me like, really? It's a funeral. I mean, like, really? This is bothering you?
It's not that it's just a little unusual.
Well,
they're just looking at you, Carl, because you had on a nice suit, man. It was cool
probably. Yeah, but I'm like, really? You know? And I also had a friend, I worked for this company, and one of our coworkers, his family died, and we were all going to go to the funeral. And the white people were worried if they should go. That was their question.
To a black funeral, you mean?
Yeah, in a black neighborhood.
What I found is they'll come together as a group. They'll all pack into the one car and come together.
Yeah.
And then we'll leave together.
Yeah.
You know? And what I've experienced is when I find that when when white folks come to our events, we do try to make them feel welcome. I think that we tend to extend that handshake, that hand of fellowship, more so than, you know, like you said, if we come to a white event, it's more of a kind of a staring, like, who do they know, you know, that kind of thing.
But that was not when I went to the white friends who had a family member die.
Right.
My first thought, but I'm saying that was their first thought. Should we go? And I don't know. Where is it? It's in this town, you know. I at the time I was in Boston, and the black town was Roxbury. The black area is Roxbury. Right. Even though now it's been, as I say,
it's been gentrified.
Yes, heavily, very heavily. You know what I mean. But it's not. It wasn't my first thought. My first thought was, my friend's son died. I'm going to the funeral to support them. I didn't care if it was at a Nazi camp. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But here's the thing, though, when you have people who all they really know of us is what they see on television, and most of that is a negative portrayal, I can understand their ambivalent, you know, their hesitation, because they truly believe that they're going to be, you know, there's going to be some kind of a.
That's funny. I give you a story of when I lived in Boston. I was on Blue Hill Ave, which is another, you know, well, it goes for a certain part is black, it's white, and then it turns black. Depends on what direction you're coming from. If you're coming from the side, it's all white. You know, you hit Blue Hill Ave is white, and then so I'm on Blue Hill Ave one night. I think I had done a show. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I saw these white girls like frantically, and they flagged me down. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? We don't know. We're lost. We were coming down Blue Hill, and it got. You know, we saw some, you know, basically what they were saying, it went from white people, and they said we started seeing less and less people, white people.
They just started seeing more liquor stores.
You know what?
And I literally say, follow me, and I told him, and I drove, and I took them back to the highway.
And you should have taken them deeper in.
But it's like they thought they were gonna get you know what I mean. And I actually had a white friend who told me they go into white neighborhoods sometimes just to see how we live, like into
black.
Yeah, they're like get in their car and they drive into a black neighborhood with all the windows rolled up just to see how we live. Like really?
But I think that's very indicative to a lot of white people. They don't know because they've never had to you know to embrace our way of living and what we do. And what they will probably find is that on an individual basis, we live a lot just the same way they do.
Yeah.
So most white people don't have outside the workplace.
Don't have black friends.
Basically, yeah.
Basically,
yep.
I mean that's actually real. Yeah, don't have black friends. So you might work at Target with black people. You know,
yeah, but you're not coming home to the cookout.
But when you leave that grocery store, you know, you might know the girl at the cash register across from you, you know, who's African American. But when you leave there, get in your car, you go back to you have no real black friends in your real life, you know, like your real life, you know. And I think that's just strange. That's strange to me, because I've never not had white people in my life as friends growing up in America. You know, being in school. I've always had white friends in school, in elementary school or high school or whatever, junior high school, white colleagues, white associates, my business manager is white, my agent is white, you know, my booking agent is white, you know, my fans,
was that
fans are white people that come see my shows, you know.
But let me ask you, Kevin, was that because was that by design or was that out of necessity?
Oh, hold on.
I beg your pardon.
Kevin was honestly offended by your question.
I beg your pardon. How dare you? He's good.
No.
If you didn't want to answer, all you had to do is say so.
Well, I grew up in an all black neighborhood. I grew up in Palmer Park, Maryland.
Right.
Which is about 20 minutes outside of Washington, D.C. It's actually the same neighborhood that Sugar Ray Leonard grew up in. So boxer Sugar Ray Leonard. But so it was all black neighborhood. As we got older, you know, we moved to a neighborhood that was more diverse. And then with the high school, school, we started going to school. I mean, schools. So my schools were mixed. There were white people in my school,
but no, I'm talking about like your but with your business. Your business is, you like you said, your manager, your agent. That's just
history. When I started in comedy,
right
now.
But isn't that the point, though? The fact is that we have always had to deal with them.
Right, we had, we had to,
But the thing is,
when I started comedy, there wasn't in the industry.
But
as far as
yeah. But when we interact with white people, when I interact with white people, I don't interact with them as a white person. If they're a decent person, they're cool, and you know what I mean. It's only if they do something stupid, they go, then it reminds me. But if I interact with a person and they're cool and we're hanging out or we're talking and they've got my best interests at heart, and I don't think of them as, oh, this is a white person. I'm about to have a new white friend. They're just a person who's, you know what I mean? Because I've had negative experiences with black and negative with white and positive with black and positive with white.
I think there's always been a mystery. We've always been a mystery to them.
Yeah. I mean, because I've had white friends tell me, "Oh, excuse my friend, he didn't grow up around black people, so he."
So he doesn't know how to treat a human being.
So but I've never said that. Nobody's ever said, "Oh, excuse Carl, he didn't grow up around white people." So no,
right. There's a devil.
Yeah, so we just seem to be different people. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna tell you something that happened weird the other day. I had they had Colin Powell's funeral on CNN the other day. They ran in this entirely. So I'm listening to it on the radio because I'm running some errands. I had a white guy on Facebook send me a message, and he goes, "This must really disturb you, Kevin." And he sends me a picture that he took from his cell phone of interracial couples. I think one of Colin Powell's son is married to a white woman or something like that. And he says, "This must really affect you because these interracial couples sitting here at Colin Powell's funeral."
Why? Why would he?
I mean, when I finished digging in his ass, he probably couldn't sit there. I'm minding my business. Here's his problem. He's one of the guys that I argue with on Facebook all the time.
Yeah.
So his thing is, I'm racist because I call out racism.
Yeah.
He's uncomfortable with the way I call out racism on Facebook. When he posts stupid shit on his page, I lean on him. And so now I'm pegged as a racist, just like with Paul Bond, the comedian Paul Bond, won't come on our show because he told a mutual friend, "Oh, I don't want to go on that show because Kevin Lee's racist."
Yeah. How people get racist or racism from this show is beyond me. I swear to God.
They don't want us to talk about their ancestors. They don't want us to talk about the current state of affairs of America today.
Yep.
And if we do talk about it, then we're called racist. Dr. King was called a communist, a racist, a troublemaker, was perhaps the most hated man in America at the time of his death, right? I mean, he didn't become this beloved figure until after he was assassinated.
Yeah.
So, we already know how they felt about Malcolm, so.
Yep.
So, yeah, and they still don't like Malcolm. They accept Dr. King now, but they never will accept Malcolm the way they accept King.
But what I think with these people and, like you said, Malcolm and stuff.
We're going to wrap it up.
Okay. I just want to say this one thing. I think if they were to truly get a good, a wealth of knowledge of the history, the true history of America, they would not have a problem with us speaking about this. They would not have a problem with us. But because they also were taught the same things that we were taught. You got to remember that too. They were taught that those were the history that we learned was, they were taught that was the true history and they believed it. So for them now to go back on it, it's tough. And that's why they have this whole thing of, you talk about critical race theory that, oh my God, we can't have that because they drank the Kool-Aid. We all had the same picture of Kool-Aid in school being taught what America was about. The problem is that some of us have understood now that that was a load of crap, and now we need it to be revised. And hopefully that would also help people in general to understand and to have a more of a sympathetic appreciation for what we have to go through.
It seems like they think if we are taught, our critical race theory is taught in schools or wherever, or people know about it, that we are somehow going to rise up. We already know. We already know what we're talking about. We just want the world to understand. If it would help them understand why we are the way we are.
When why we feel the way we do.
Yes, it would really help them. They don't understand. It would be better for America to teach critical race theory, because when those white people are in the suburban homes looking at us protesting in the streets, and when all of that just because the police did this, no, it has something to do with the police shooting, but it has to do with all this other stuff that you don't know about.
But again, if we start to separate it as critical race theory, then there's an option of learning it or not learning it. We have to indoctrinate all of the true history of America and of the world and put it into perspective and just call it history, period. We don't get this critical race crap. To me, it just gives them something else to argue about.
Hey, Pam, have you seen the documentary 13th Amendment?
I sure did.
All right, that was on Netflix, and now it's on YouTube in its entirety. But it was put on by a white guy. A black guy didn't post that. That documentary.
It was put onto YouTube by a white guy.
No,
the documentary.
The creator of it. Yes.
The creator of it was a white. So they know. They know. Some
people know, absolutely, but they're the ones who have educated themselves, right?
Right.
We're talking about what, 300 million people in this country, give it, let's say 400 million. What 90% of or 80% of them are white. How many of them do you think really truly have taken the time to, because in order to learn of our history, they had to go the extra mile because they weren't taught in mainstream.
I sent that documentary to a friend of mine to try to explain to him why some of what you may see in Chicago is happening. And I told him, watch his 13th Amendment, you will understand some of why.
Yeah, Ava DuVernay did a great job on that.
But he didn't watch it because he said in the first scene of it, he heard Barack Obama's voice.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to learn.
You know Barack Obama, the guy who pulled himself up by the bootstraps, that guy?
Yeah.
That guy, yeah. The one you don't like him now because he pulled himself up by the bootstraps. But if he's a gangbanger, you don't like him. If he's a successful black man who went on
definitely don't like him.
You don't like him. So it's a no-win situation, right? So Barack Obama could be that Chicago gangbanger, then you would be pointing the finger at him. But he became president of the United States because he wasn't Jesus Christ perfect, you're still pointing the finger at him. So it's a no-win situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. And that's the thing. People who want to learn will learn. People who don't want to learn, who are comfortable in what they believe is the truth, will stay in that little cocoon, and it just happens all the way through. So yes, I think we've come a long way, but we have a huge distance to cover, and we're nowhere close to the end line.
TW says whites don't hate CRT, they hate non-whites. Don't get it twisted. Yvonne Williams Simmons, she says, and accept the wrongdoing of their heritage. That they don't want to do. They want to pretend like it never happened. I've had white friends tell me just forget about it. Just, if one person told me the fact that racism exists because black people still talk about it. That's why it's like this, because we wouldn't shut up. So black people, if you're watching, just shut up and racism will go away.
Ain't that nothing?
This is the last show we're gonna do on racism. So we're gonna end it. Wow. Patricia Felix, what up, Patricia? My previous lender, Prominent Bank, can't name it. We don't want to get sued. Was obligated to pay $14,000 as a result of a class action lawsuit. due to discriminatory lending practices during the closing. It was bittersweet, and I'm pretty sure that was in not long ago. So stuff still happened. My friend Marissa Mancini, who's a realtor, she said you should have called me as your realtor. And we talking about taking pictures off the wall. She said these realtors should be reported. They should not do that, but
no, they don't force you to take pictures off. They recommend it. So you can't. I don't think that they can get into trouble for saying.
But you want to make more money. So are you going? You know what I mean? Because you as a homeowner, you want to get the most for your house.
Right.
The realtor wants to get the most commission. Right. So Yeah,
I don't think what they're doing by recommending that you do that. I don't think that they're doing anything wrong, because they understand that there's a third party who's coming in who may be biased to you. Yeah, they're just giving you the heads up.
Yeah.
Right.
Then
it's not them. It's just they know that there's somebody in that system that's going to see this, that has the power to go, let's not give.
That's right.
Yeah. Because if a black man lives in a house, it loses its value because
we breathed in that air.
Yeah, I mean, we move into a neighborhood that lowers the property value. That right there,
Listen,
I swear to God, that right there, when I heard somebody say that when the black family moves into our neighborhood, it lowers the property value. That right there told me everything I needed to know about it.
It does. And I'll tell you something else. My uncle bought one of his homes in the 70s on Flatbush in the Flatbush area, which was at that time predominantly white. And it was an Italian neighbor, at least that block was predominantly Italian. And every night when they came home, they had to make sure they closed their curtains. They had bottles thrown at their windows. Once there was a bullet in one of their front doors, they ended up having to leave. They did not want us in there. And if you knew my uncle and his wife, talk about the all-American, very pristine, very up and up. But people just they have certain perceptions and they allow that to guide their anger.
Hey guys, I was able to keep my Pee Wee Herman doll. Pee Wee Herman.
You can keep Pee Wee Herman.
Theaters. I was able to keep it in the office.
You can also keep Bert, but not Ernie, right?
Right.
But no, there were. What does it say?
Yeah. Yeah.
His batteries are dead now. Shit.
Oh, yeah.
I was able to keep this in my office. So keep a white man around if you buy real estate numbers.
Hey, hey, what's up, Rick? Rick Jenkins.
But you know what I forgot to take down, guys?
What?
I'll show you. I forgot to take this down.
What is that?
Rosa Parks.
Rosa Parks.
Oh, Rosa got to stay.
Yeah, I forgot to take her down because I was going to take her down, but I forgot.
But you see, only having one may not be that bad. It's just that if you have a whole slew of African-related stuff.
Oh, I did. I had everybody. I
know your walls were covered.
Yeah, I had Jamie Foxx, Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, Wanda Sykes, all these people on my wall, that I know and stuff like that. So yeah, I had to take them all down. So
wow,
you could be a liberal white.
I like that color on your walls, actually.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
It's like a green.
Yes, that's a good color. The dirt doesn't show up if it gets dirty.
Yeah.
Camouflage. Thank you. Yes.
Did you paint that, or you guys bought?
So I take all my.
You paint that color, or you guys got it like that? You guys got the house like that? You painted it, or you chose that?
Yeah, painted it.
Or
I remove all the African American stuff, but stuff that I collect a lot of Hollywood memorabilia stuff.
You don't have any Afro combs hanging around your house, or any anything, any
dashiki,
carefree curl, any carefree curl, or anything, any Ebony magazine, Jet magazine.
Actually, I do.
Some Ultra Sheen.
Ultra Sheen,
I forgot to take stuff down. Though. I told you. I got my Dick Gregory book over here, and he pulled it down.
Well, I think those, because they're very subtle, would be okay. It's just to have things just plastered over may raise a few eyebrows. But live your best life.
Yeah.
So are you not planning on selling though?
No.
Oh, it's just a REIT, right? That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So put them back up now.
Oh yeah, they're back. I got pictures. I just pull down my mom's picture, my daughter's picture, take all this shit down, man. So everything's back up gracefully. I'm packing though. I'm leaving Monday for the Bahamas. So
awesome. Have a great shows and great time.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to it. I'll tell y'all off mic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was actually supposed to be on the Tom Joyner morning cruise.
With
LL Cool J tonight.
What happened?
Well, they called me today. They go, the booker called me, goes, are you at the hotel? Because you check it, the ship leaves on November 6th. So Alicia Keys and LL Cool J actually does a concert tonight on the ship, right? And they go, are you here? I'm like, no, I'm not here. I'm in New York. He goes, what happened? So they were expecting me to be there with all the other comedians. That George Wallace is on the show.
So you weren't booked?
They didn't send you the.
It was a miscommunication between two different bookers.
Oh no!
So I had offered to go to Bahamas or to do the Tom Joyner morning. So I was actually going to do the Tom Joyner cruise instead of going to the Bahamas because
I didn't even know that was still going on.
It's still going on. And I've done it before, but the reason I was going to go because it gets me home quicker. See, Bahamas is a 2-week gig. This is only 6 nights. So I was going to do that. So I go out, do that tour, and then come home instead of being in Bahamas for 2 weeks, But they called me up today and go, "Are you at the hotel?"
You've been traveling. You've been on the road too much when you can't wait to get home, and that's
exactly right, man. Yeah, exactly. So. I have a choice to hang out with Rob Steen or hang out with
That's hilarious.
Having a little Rob Steen. He's
I don't know him.
All right, we want to thank everyone for watching the show. Thank you so much, Tanya, and we miss you, and we miss you too, Des. And shout out to our brother Preach who passed away.
Hey, Des, stop hanging out the Kennedys and come do this show with us.
I know.
The Kid Carver, the Kennedys.
Des is the best. Des is living his best white life. Yeah. So not grandma. Let me thank some people. We didn't see Grandma Staley. Tanya's grandmother abandoned us. Grandma, we know Tanya's not here, but come on, really? Donna, hey, good. What's up? Gina Fiore, thank you so much. Our #1 super duper fan. Yvonne Williams. Ann Holly, what's up? Thank you. We see you. We see TW checking in on YouTube.
Happy birthday, Debbie Allen. Just turned 71 today. With your bad ass.
Debbie Allen,
she's bad.
Whoa.
Debbie Allen, 71 today. Happy birthday.
Wow. And still moving.
Marissa Mancini, thank you so much for checking in. Keep up. Marissa, I think this is the first time you watched the show. Please, she's a realtor. So if you need a house and you're in Connecticut, check out Marissa. Patricia, thank you so much. When Kevin's video went, I thought Patricia walked in with some Daisy Dukes on. That's why he.
What?
I don't think Kevin will be back yet. Anyway, who else is on here? Rick Jenkins, thanks. What's up? I haven't heard you in a while. Yeah, Rick has a club up in Boston. Rick, I don't remember the name of your club. I would plug it. It's in is that Somerville or Cambridge? It was a Comedy Studio. How can I forget that? A Comedy Studio in Boston. So shout out to Rick and the Comedy Studio in Boston. Please check it out. Thanks to everyone for watching the show. Thank you so much. Today was the 3 of us. Hope we have.
We held it down, baby. We held it down.
We did.
Yes,
well.
we did. In fact, we even went over. My goodness.
We made Desi and Tanya proud.
I will see y'all Tuesday and Saturday from Bahamas.
We'll be.
All right.
All right, everybody. Bye, everyone. We love you.
Bye.
We mean that. We truly mean that. We love you. And thanks for watching the show. Please tell everyone about us. Thank you.